we had with my staff, and I'm still working on them after 5 years. I just lost 2 people as the staff that I took over. I didn't lose anybody on turnover, but 5 years later, I just lost a sous chef that was just ready to. Her wings were flipped, with our head chef. My head chef, she goes, "I'm not going anywhere. As long as you keep me, I'm not going anywhere." So I'm like, "All right." I would take her. I'd take her anywhere. I mean, she's just loyal, just totally solid. And but a little rough around the edges, just kind of had a few talks of spiritual, spiritual talks. It's like, we love one another, but it's kind of, you're over the line, kind of, mentality and with volunteers, and but we love each other enough where I don't hide it from you. Just kind of like, but we do it biblically. And that's the whole thing, and they know, my whole staff knows that if something goes awry, we're going to handle it in a biblical way. And it's never going to be, it's not going to be out of anger or any other way. It's just going to be completely biblically.
Favoritism.
Yeah, everybody picks on me, but you suck up to the pastors. I say, I suck up to the non-pastors too. That's a good point. Like, I suck up to everybody. That's what keeps me going. That's what makes me tick. So, but just trying to, the biggest thing for me is that I've already went over everybody in the church knows what I'll do for them in the church. Now it's time for me to break out and get into the community, and that's why, like, that's what we were talking about today. That's why it's so important to be catering outside of the box. So just kind of, really getting out there. That's really neat. But we got a little saying that hurt people hurt people. And that's probably the, when somebody comes up on a Wednesday night meal or during the day and they're grumpy about their coffee or something like that. My coffee's not hot enough, or they're mean about it. Let me know. Okay. And then if they're still, or yeah,
then it's not the coffee that wasn't hot.
bingo. And then if they're still grumpy, if you can't fix it. I was in the ice cream business for 20 years, so I'm like, it's not like you have to send the steak back, or it doesn't take any time. Well, I ordered chocolate. You gave me vanilla. Oh, I'm sorry. Take it. Throw it in the trash. People get you another one. You do it right then and there, and it's fixed. And then if they're still grumpy, it was always something else. It had nothing to do with the ice cream. Not the ice cream. So, but it's our job to minister those needs. And if we can't, and we're not, Satan will use anything he can to be a deterrent and a roadblock for us to speak the truth. And even if we don't know the scripture, it's like, I know it's somewhere here in my Bible. You don't have to. It's okay. And if he doesn't, I got 15 pastors within my arm's reach on Sunday that they give it to me. Let other people do that. So that's being able to use those resources. 15 pastors, and hopefully enough pizza. That'll do it.
No, I'm going to get an idea of what you're talking about. We aren't allowed to do outside catering. They're not going to change that.
Okay.
And I was going to see if there was other stuff you want to talk about, revenue building.
When you outside catering, is that only you walking out of the building and taking it somewhere, or somebody picking it up and taking it somewhere, or outside
of
coming
ministry?
in?
We don't host any outside organizations at the church.
Even if they're other churches?
It's a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
And it's not I can't go and get that business. It's not my call to do that. So I didn't know if,
I'm focusing on kind of just rebranding yours and really focusing on inside and outside. How you can do things better inside.
Right.
And also just everything catering. Just catering basically outside of the box. So just kind of, but definitely outside of the church. Our mission statement in our church is kind of like, shut the doors. We'll pray for you.
Yeah.
God said they'll let you.
Well, they'll allow events to happen, but only if they can share the gospel at the event and they don't make a habit of like a regularly scheduled thing. So, like we host some graduations for Christian schools and stuff like that, but it's not like a regularly. They just have a strict policy on it. So,
And that's maybe one of the ways to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've done like
Christian
Gideon's
business
lunch and stuff.
Yeah, do those things.
But like
Everybody, I know everyone out there is singing too.
But what's that?
How we doing?
Good.
Right?
Yeah, I think they would let me do something like that.
So what's
It's more of like a, just for business, like a lot of people do Rotary Clubs or something like that. They would.
Some very neat.
Typically,
That's why they come in for you. You had that talk last night. He had a dream about it.
we're drawing out a timeline.
Kevin, are you good? Hotel?
Yeah, I need somebody to teach us that. I'm good, thanks, bro.
But I feel like this one, there's going to be a little more discussion.
Geocaching.
They can send me the information, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Get an idea of what you're talking about. Yeah, that's
I like your action. But we have somebody to come outside.
You can't just tell them.
Yeah, you can't just speak to one.
Yeah, I know you remember that. Dave, you're right in.
Going up. Yeah, we will. Party. Hey, bro, look, the event in the morning.
He started teaching things. Okay.
He's not doing that. He's gotta go somewhere.
Alright, we're gonna talk to Marcus about his, water cups and his, help yourself if you don't need another sip.
That's the only thing that I saw that, the first time I brought out cups a little bit bigger than that, they're like a 9 ounce. Boy, everybody went, can we not get a tea glass over here? It's like, and that was, I don't know, those look like those urine samples.
Yeah, but they will drink less because they don't want to do the trip.
But us fat people, we're dehydrated because of that.
Yeah, right.
There's water, there's
I don't know, he just wants you to, that way don't have to refill the
So
water.
you can use 5 glasses
That ain't
instead of
100.
1.
Yeah, I figured an hour, 15 minutes, I might be able to get through here. So yeah, I thought that was so funny. So
I was just curious.
We can go
Was he
get
not
you-
gonna
I was
push
gonna
back?
say, we can all go get you a cup of
If you
wine.
start choking, run out and grab another.
So with 4 cups, I got my what?
8 ounces?
12 ounces?
Yeah. That's funny. All right, well, welcome to Catering Outside the Box. We just kind of wanted to put something together. All of our classes here want to help you guys build your ministries and not just money, but a lot of people have questions. I mean, all the questions. Feel free to ask anything you want today, from health code to money questions, packaging questions, anything like that. I can share anything that we do on our with our church and what we do. My background is in franchising, and we had Subways and some Marble Stop Creameries, fully rolled sandwiches, so I know all about sandwich trays and deliveries and caterings and health codes and everything else there. So it kind of makes it a natural fit for me to, when we're just sitting around the church and I've got 7 employees that there's nothing going on, that hey, we need to think outside of the box and do something else here. So you hope that you can always add to that. We have a sign-in sheet also that's coming in as we're going here. Come on in, ladies. Thank you so much. It's okay. It's okay. All right. So after you disassemble the dishwasher and then you start sanitizing, so to re-put, so you guys all have the LB500 Super soaker?
No, we have the 600.
But we're doing the dishwasher.
It has the after spray wash that y'all are familiar with.
We're chemical.
Real high dishwasher.
Hey, we were rolling with it. I think we're ready for the test.
We get our chemicals at Sam's Club. So where do you guys get your chemicals for your dishwasher?
We don't have a dishwasher.
It's catering. I always like to mess with the people. Sorry. So, I always like to start the class, so I'd love to open in prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity, and just we just know that the purpose of all of us getting together today is to honor you in everything that we do. And if it's outside catering, inside catering, and just loving others, we just ask that you just continue to shower each and every one of us with blessings, just to be better hosts and hostesses for our congregation, and for those that don't know Christ especially. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So now, and I had to say hostess. Want to be politically correct. I think it's all host now. So what so the catering, is anybody currently at your churches, is anybody actually doing any catering on or off site? Well, obviously on site. I mean, we should all be doing that. Anybody doing off site catering then? What's your off site catering consist of? Are you more like a boxed lunch, or are you guys doing spreads and?
We do everything.
Okay. So you pretty much, I mean, are you doing any kind of advertising? You just kind of just all word of mouth? Okay. All right. Is there a reason why, if you're just doing, I mean, you got so much that you don't want any more business, or?
Yes.
Okay.
But basically, we could take more, but we sort of max out between the inside and outside.
Okay. And that's why I asked that question. I mean, sometimes we just, at the and that's something to take into consideration when you're actually looking at all the different things that we do in the church. Sometimes, I mean, church is first in our church, and I love the fact that everybody endorses the fact that we can do outside stuff, but I've never come up and I've gone head to head and say, well, hey, Pastor Gobbs, sorry, I can't do your event because I already got a big outside event going. So that's one of those things that you guys have to be very careful with, and when you take things on, because if somebody from ministry comes up, and especially outside catering, when people book these things so far in advance, professional planner do think 12 to 18 months is late typically. I don't know if anybody would work with it. My church yesterday.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. Kevin, I forgot. And of course I don't say no. The answer, I respond in love and everything, and my staff doesn't like it, but the answer is yes. Now what's the question? So that's my mentality, and if I can make it work, I will make it work. So if I'm up all night or I've had to do anything else, I'll make it work, especially if the people that support our church and pastors, administrative, everything else, if they need it done, and they'll come to me and I'm like, hey, you really need this? If they say yes, I will take care of them every single time. So that's my job. So unfortunately it is inconvenient sometimes, but that's what I do. So yes, sir.
We're actually limit to the amount of, I don't know, I mean, every situation is different. The amount of outside catering that we do, and I just think that it's because of our ministry is, I don't know if they want to be cautious, but number one, we're so big, I guess. We got 100 ministries within the church. There don't appear to be room. And before, my boss was no longer, when I came aboard and he understood my background and what we did, we used to do more catering, outside catering than we do now. Now we have a new business administrator. We've gone back to old landmark, and I really don't even know if they want to, I don't think they want to do outside catering. Yeah. So, I mean, I have a catering business we've had since '95, my own personal catering business, and what the church has allowed me to do says go for it. And we do our own thing, but I just, per our food service ministry that we run within the church, I don't know, we don't even do it for the church now. I just think that they allow me to do some of our BLGs, our Sunday school classes, our ministries within the church will have us do a party off-site, but the church would much rather you do it as Herb's Catering, rather than do it as a church.
And a lot of churches do it that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. If we can help the church any way we can, and there's numerous churches in Minneapolis that I get phone calls all the time, hey, can I just use your commercial kitchen, because we're licensed and certified. A lot of the churches do that. Our big, church that's also in town, the other church is known, across, about 5 miles from our church. He actually does a lot of outside catering on his own to supplement, and he helps the church, and the church helps him by letting him use that area. So sometimes that's the benefit, the outside catering thing for the church. So
That's exactly what I do.
So if you're doing well,
Yeah.
if you're fulfilling the need of the church, and then you're also being able to fulfill the need of your family and provide for your family, and you guys have this winning relationship, that's a great thing. So you can do both, and then you have that.
So do you let the other church come in and use your kitchen?
I don't like, I leave that up to my chef, and, cause it's her kitchen.
Right.
If I know somebody's gonna come in and if they have a high dollar product, and I know that they can afford to spend high dollar on the kitchen, I'm gonna charge them, I'm gonna charge for chemicals, time, space, everything else, but, I'd make them come in on a Friday or a Saturday.
On your weekend.
Yeah, when we're not there, if we didn't have a special event, but we have done it, but, it's more of the entrepreneurs in our actual church family that try to get that, that try to get in there and say, hey, I'm starting off this new business and cake decorating or something like that. If we wanna clean it up, or, if we're trying to work out something, or if you're trying to build a relationship with another ministry, or, somebody that's kinda like, standoffish in the past, however you can build those relationships. Yeah, it's situational, but, but there's no reason, cause if the biggest problem is if you're big, if you have food service on Sunday morning, as we do, you don't wanna walk into a mess, because I tell you what, you do not wanna deal with my chef if she walks into a mess on, it doesn't matter. She has to scrape hands on Sunday morning before she starts. She's one of those everything clean slate.
Clean before you start.
That's right, and
Well, that's what I was gonna say,
so-
we used to let other people, members in the church, or even outside people come into the kitchen, but the deal was, I had to be there, and you could use the kitchen for free, but they had to pay the church a fee, and that fee was paying me.
Yeah.
Because, what if they get burnt, what if they don't know how to use the equipment, what if they slip and fall, what if they're not cleaning things properly, what if they don't clean up as they go, what if they accidentally take our inventory,
That's why it's the chef, that's why I
Yeah.
let my chef make that decision.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's always like that. And same with, we actually, there was a Russian Baptist church that's in our area, that's a very big congregation, and they had a Russian Baptist conference for their, teenagers. And we prayed about it and talked about it and everything else, but they couldn't afford our catering services, so we rented out the entire church. So I charged them my regular rental fees, everything else, charged them for the kitchen, and I let them do everything themselves. So there was.
Who provided the vodka?
Shoot, I don't know. They didn't have any there. The Russian Baptists.
Oh, Baptist, okay.
Russian Baptists. Even Russian Baptists don't drink. But they used our whole church, and we let them use every single room. They had, about 2,200 people that came in. But they cooked for all those people. So it was my responsibility, and I ran around with them and, making sure that they had everything that they needed. But, that was the only time that we've ever let anybody in, and everybody was just naysayers. They're gonna tear the place up, they're gonna do this, and then everyone that was involved in it, it's like a missions trip. You don't realize, you think you're going to help them, until it turns around and you're like, man, we're so blessed to be able to donate this facility, and, to work with them. And, we didn't make as much money as we, wish we would have. Wow, would have been nice if we would have done the catering, because you look at the, $100,000 you could have made off of feeding, all 2,200 people 3 meals. But, you look at it in the big picture, it was a good God thing to do in a relationship. So when we're doing those caterers, when you go back into that, so if you're having those issues with that, you have to have, if you're gonna be doing catering, basically it's R&D. Anybody do any R&D around here?
Oh, yeah.
You know what that stands for?
Yes.
Rip off.
Rip off and
Yeah.
duplicate.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not research and development, it's rip off and duplicate. There's 5,000 franchises that are around your church that are already doing party trays, box lunches, sandwich trays, whatever it is. Find one that you like, find a product that you like making, look at your food costs, look at, what it's gonna, talk to your US Foods or your FMF, your partnership that you have with them now.
look at all these different things, and then try to develop your own menu based on what you like and what you like making, what you can do by yourself if you don't have your volunteers. Do those kind of things. Start simple. Find a specialty. Do something that maybe those guys also look at the same people that are around you and look for something that they're not doing, because they're on all, Subway's competing with Jason's Deli, and Jason's Deli's competing with, the other deli and the other 4 delis, and so everybody's got sandwich niche. Who's doing something different? Do you have, soups? Do you have, different kinds of, usually bakery you're gonna compete with, but, you never know, you can have a partnership with a bakery that brings your stuff in on Sundays. They might be able to help you out to get some stuff out there. You can do different things, but you can work together with different people and just be the liaison. So you always want to start with that. But basically, you just gotta start with a vision. Either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. And that's the biggest thing. And then take each one of those steps and start with baby steps. Get used to it. If you have experience in the catering business, hey, you've got a full commercial kitchen, you've got your own business, man, you can do anything. And then the only way that the problem that we usually have in the church is usually the cash, is usually the money. We were able to 3 years ago, I sat down with my boss and I said, everybody's going off site, they're bringing large groups out to restaurants, they're doing all these other things, so how can I compete with that? Because mine, I'll show you here, when I talk about going back into doing everything, full service church, a lot of you guys, when you go to your web designer or your pastor or whatever, hey, I'd love to put our cafe on the website, and they're like, oh, that's like sacrilegious, nobody wants to advertise for your department, you can't put anything on the website. I have no problems with my leadership, so they're all on there. So unfortunately, we're under information. There's a couple, we've tried to break it down in our church with all the different things. So we have the bookstore, the Grace Cafe, we have a couple of things on here that we can get in there. So at least I have that, so most people will know the cafe obviously is where you can get any catering, anything like that there. So, and then we have our Grace Cafe hours. I've got weekday menus, get everything else in here. My phone number, my email address. You want to get all these things in here. Catering services, so I have a special link just for that. So I can go to that, so everything's on here. So my catering hospitality, everything's on here. So this is my inside catering policies and my outside. So if somebody finds this, if they're Googling anything like that, catering during Eden Prairie, it's gonna pull my name up. It's gonna pull this catering service up. So you want to be able to advertise on that. Phone numbers again, my assistant's number, fax. You can click there. I keep wanting to, like my kids with the TV. Everything's touchscreen today, Daddy. So I put all my catering menus in the actual, on there. So if any clients call, I can direct them to that. So if I'm busy, I can't get back to them, everything else, at least I can say, hey, go on our website, you can find this, it's real easy to find. Everything's on here. So I've got dinner, and if you look at what my prices are on there, some people are like, man, you can't charge that much in a church. Well, this is inside outside catering, so this is what we did. Sat down with my pastor administration. We profit, and very fortunate in my church that we, since we have the cafe, we have Sunday, brunch, we do a bunch of conferences, we do concerts, we do graduations. I do so much that I usually make a profit. So I've always, in 5 years, we've always been in the black, so it's been blessing for us. At the end of the year, they would take that and then they would just split it up into the general fund, or give men's and women's. They kind of split it up evenly, whatever, just for that. Well, now, in order to encourage more inside ministries to use my services and to upgrade, let's buy your volunteers steaks. Let's get them fish. Let's get them a nice, instead of church chicken, everybody have that, the rice pilaf, the piece of, 6-ounce piece of chicken and a vegetable. That's your fancy meal. Now you're able to bump that up and actually sit down with the pastors or ministry leaders and actually try to say, hey, let's really show the volunteers, just like Marcus has done for us while we're here. Let's bump it up a little bit. Let's give a discount. So you can put that in your budget. All my pastors, everything off of this menu, they get a 50% discount off of my retail menu. So all these meals, this London broil is $9. The broiled walleye, they want it, it's $10.
Realistic food, right?
Everything's in there. So now, these pastors, they see that and they're like, I can't touch that. I mean, I can't go anywhere. I can't order pizza. that cheap, it's one of those things, so it's the same thing. If they order pizzas, my pizzas are $12 a piece in-house, $6, so now I'm competing with the Papa John's, everything else. I've got a bigger pizza, I've improved it, kids love it now, so you work on those little things where all those, if you have the reputation in the catering on inside or outside that you don't have a very good product, what do? You fix it, you try to fix those things, so you.
So you
just
give
narrow that
half
down.
off of this menu for anybody in your church, or just the pastor?
Ministry, only if it's ministry.
Right.
So, and that's where that gets, so if it's a small group that just wants to host something at the church, they're gonna go to a restaurant anyway, so they're considered an outside. Now, if it's a small group that Pastor Nelson says, hey, I wanna feed my small group and I'm gonna pay for it, then I'll give them the discount. So if it's coming from church funds and it's within, then they get that benefit. If it's coming from, Dr. So-and-so is gonna buy this for their small group, then they're gonna pay full price for it. And then, and then it's up to you, and we try to keep it straight across the board, service fees, everything else. And usually what I'll do, instead of charging our ministry service fees or plus, of course, in Minnesota, I have to tax on catering. So any prepared catering food, even though you're 501c3, I still have to charge tax. So that bums a lot of people. Yeah, and but anyway, but that service fee, I can waive the service fee. That's what I usually do, and just charge them exactly what it costs me in labor. And that's what I'll do for my pastors.
So what do you charge on top of that, a service fee, which includes
Well,
what?
usually, when you do catering, you'll charge just a service fee, so that'll cover your, how long it took you to make your fold your napkins, everything else, usually 18%.
Right, yeah.
I charge 18%.
Right.
And typically, like the hotels, stuff like that, so I try to stay below 20, 21, 22 now in most of our hotels in our area. So I'm always looking out, and that's one of the things. Look at your competition, see what everybody's doing. I'm 18% service fee, so I'm gonna save somebody 3% right off the bat. They still gotta pay the same amount of tax, even outside though. And these prices, if you go and look at a petite sirloin, or you look at a chicken marsala, anything like that, dishes like this start at $25 to $26 on the outside. I don't have a 400-room facility that I'm gonna support. I've got a church that all my rent's paid, my electricity's paid. I've got I don't have to cover all that. So I took all those expenses that I had to cover from a catering standpoint. I took those out, and I'm gonna value the customer. So I'm giving these guys a smoking deal. So as long as they can deal with, the fact that we have, there's a little bit of I'll just kind of give you an idea. This is the only. It's not a downfall for me, but it is for a lot of the. When people come in, if somebody comes up and they pull into the church, this is our church in Minnesota. So, but we have a big cross that's up here. We have an airport right here, but the cross has a red light on top of it because it's so hot. But you see that. When you're pulling up, the sun's coming up and everything else. You see this, but the idea is when you're catering and you're selling those outside, you got to find all these points that are more pluses than negatives. Most people they don't even notice the cross on top of the building, and it's a landmark, so it helps them find it easier. But when they pull in the building, you set up all your rooms. You set them all up where they have their own parking. You set it up. You make it easy. You set them up in rooms that are right on the ground level. You set them up where they're going to have either, depending on the event, the least or the most amount of, people. If they want kind of their quiet entrance and they don't want to see a lot of church people, they'll tell you that. And you just got to kind of feel as you're talking with them, you can see if they're anxious about hosting an event in a church or not. Typically, it's going to be an owner of a business in the area that either knows our church, goes to our church, and wants to bless their, employees or whatever it is. They don't have to deal with, and some of the pros of catering in a church. We can't have alcohol because we've decided to do this at the church. Our catering facility that we're hosting this year, they don't allow alcohol. And then for safety purposes, liabilities for these businesses, they're like, okay, it's still going to be a first class event. And we, in ours, we have just different, what's the great part? It said, when we have our, we really spruce things up sometimes. So we have this is like our Grand Commons. So this is our Missions Festival. So we have food stations. So we did their catering. So we do all these other things, so they come to us and they're like, hey, we wanna do Ethiopian, we wanna do this, and, you know, we want, you know, Mexicans, whatever. Our chef will sit down with the missions people and then of course their missions people, you know, cause, you know, they're, you know, native, they'll sit down with the chefs also, and they'll sit down and they'll, okay, okay, we gotta feed 2,000 people on missions night, let's sit down and do this, and let's figure out some ideas of how we can do this, and the chef's gotta do everything, you know, when you got 5 different areas, you know, continents that you're trying to feed on, and then the chef has to put all this stuff together, so it's really neat that you can do these things, but these are kind of pictures, you take photos, this is my whole point right here, even doing this class, you take photos of what you can do, because most people won't believe, it's a church, wow, you can do that, you know, you can, wow, well, of course we can, so take pictures of the parking lot, the ease of access, you can you can partner with other event centers in the area, a lot of our weddings, and we have a beautiful chapel, we just opened up last September, we were thinking that our reception sales would just be out, you know, astronomical, so I was very disappointed because I didn't meet my budget in that area this year. People want to drink, unfortunately, and people want to dance, so we don't allow dancing. We just approved, and Marcus did the same thing in his church, the schools had a dance, they were doing it off-site here at the high school, and then we were like, okay, we're a Baptist school, but we won't dance here, but we'll go rent a facility on the other side of town to do it, so it didn't make any sense, so Marcus and those guys started doing it here, then they allowed the first dance for the couples, and then they allowed the father-daughter dance, so those two got in there, and then they said, okay, well, if we get a DJ, we can still have a appropriate, you know, with that thing, so all these things that you have to take into consideration when you're catering and you're trying to build up your business, and, you know, some things that you're gonna have those roadblocks with certain people. A lot of people just want to toast. You know, it's not that, you know, Uncle Fred has to get, you know, slammed or anything like that. There's a couple of those in every batch. Everybody knows. Anybody that's married here knows that there was somebody, if you had alcohol at your wedding, there was somebody that probably overdid it. Unfortunately, but it goes back to that same thing again. You know, we can protect that. We don't, you know, a bride and a groom don't have to worry about when they're getting on their flight if everybody made it home safe, you know, because of alcohol. So that's kind of one of the, so sell those points, find those points, you know, when you're sitting down there talking to the father, you know, the groom and the bride, you're just like, oh, this is one of the beautiful things about having it at the church. You know, it cuts down the liability. Do whatever you can to cut the cost. Well, the cost, I mean, and you know, and you can, you know, if you know the bride and groom and you sit down with them, and we sit down with the chef, I'll sit down with them, the chef will sit down with them, everything else. You get to know them because it's personal. And when you start, you know, saying this, well, you know, the last couple that came through here, you know, man, they say, you know, this, they were going to do it over at Bear Path, which is right across the street from us, and, you know, it's, you know, the minimum plate starts around $60 a plate. So, you know, as they're beating me up because, can't believe you charge $1,500 to rent the chapel, you know, that's the honorariums and everything in there, and people are complaining about it. Where are you having your reception? Oh, at Bear Path. So they're about to spend $20-something thousand on food across the street, and they're complaining about paying the church.
I think it's that whole
We
church
tithe.
thing.
We tithe.
We're tithing.
Yeah, we tithe. I've been tithing there for 30 years.
It's above and beyond time.
Another thing, and I noticed too, the ambience and atmosphere. I think that's a struggle that we have within ministry, the churches. Where I'm at now, and your commons look similar to ours. When I applied, when I went there, it was to seek catering opportunities because the church didn't have a food service. So everything was done on site. So when I went, seeking to go out and do my own catering again from where I was at, I went only to seek catering opportunities. And she says, why don't you take an application? I said, ma'am, I have a job.
Yeah.
I'm just seeking opportunities. So anyhow, as it went forward and it was tried to talk me into taking a job that I thought I wasn't interested in. They were walking me through this place, they was just redoing it, and I said, man, this looks like the Ritz. I says, everybody, he says, I promise you, there would never be any food in here. And I said to the administrator that was walking me through, I said, sir, people like ambience and atmosphere. Everybody gonna wanna have the event here. And they said it'll never happen. Now, our commons is where people have all the events at.
And you work there.
And I work there. But ambience, I mean, when you want that dollar, and then another thing I like to make mention, when I looked at your prices, it's like, wow, the church wouldn't go for that. But when you say 50% to ministry, 50% of this is where we're at for our ministry prices.
Of course.
So there's a great idea to go back and redesign it based on this price.
But they see it.
Because it
They
shows
see
the
it.
value you're
That's
giving.
right.
Right,
It does show
right,
value.
right.
I like the value part. Have you ever thought about teaching a class on this? This is awesome.
Yeah, we should. We should. That might be. But they have it, and this is where, you know, and this is why I leave all these classes very open, because we know, and, you know, on the board, Steve and Gary, all of us, we've talked about this before, is that it's really hard, for us to just, I can come in here and, you know, teach like a teacher, and sit here and tell you what I want you to hear, but that's why the classes have to be very interactive, and you gotta approach us and ask us these questions, because we want you to go back and be able to bring something home, you know, and something that's gonna motivate you and help you. And if we're struggling money-wise, if we're struggling to keep our, you know, our departments in the red, the catering is a surefire. I don't know one restaurant out there that's that close to making it or breaking it, that, you know, if they do it right, you cater, you can bring it to another level. In the ice cream business, my catering was great, and I could go out and bring two 55 liter, 55 servings of pans of ice cream to a doctor's office and work an hour and a half and make $350. You know, so I was like, okay, so $350. I sit an hour employee. You know, I've already made an hour and a half as much as my cafe is going to make all day for lunch. And $300 at our cafe, that's a good lunch day for us. You know, Monday through Thursday. You know, that's just staff. I charge $5 a meal. So I portion down. Marcus, if anybody had lunch here, Marcus he charges a little bit more, but he's hand slicing his meats. He's got hefty sandwich. I mean, you're full. I saw numerous people sharing a lunch, you know, at $8.50. My people wouldn't go for it. They would just ignore. They'd come down and eat, you know, bring their stuff from home just to taunt me, I think. I don't know if they do that on purpose or not. And then, of course, you know, hey, do you have any silverware? Can I get some mustard? Ketchup? Anyway, I just laugh.
It's all the same everywhere.
As long as you're here. Oh yeah, as long as you're here. You know what? Payback is horrible, because when I was in college, I used to go into the KFC and get all the honey packets and ketchup. So, yeah, I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid back. So when you get into that, you know, just with those different catering ideas, and you want to get into the just getting it initiated and getting it started. If you're having problems with your ministry, you know, try to, you know, just think up ways. I mean, we all know what makes people tick. My boss, if I just did a chart, if I did a Gantt chart, an Excel spreadsheet on how I could change stuff with catering, he'd be like, you know, if I didn't bring those charts to him, he'd be kind of like, I don't know if I want. If I brought charts to him and I showed him, hey, this is what I'm projecting. If I spend 2 hours a week on marketing, I can print up these menus, and Marcus does. I don't know if anybody else saw his. Same thing. I have mine on, you know, online, and we have them hard. But taking your time to actually go out, get some of your people to just go pass some stuff out, free samples. You know, you can say, hey, you know, go to some of the businesses that are local, say, come and have lunch with us. You know, when that guy comes in with the free lunch card, then make sure that I'm, hey, by the way, do you guys ever do any catering, you know, over at your shop? You know, oh yeah, we actually do. Say, hey, I'd love to, can I bring a tray of, you know, sandwiches over someday? Invest in the community. We are still, you know, it's not about money for me. It's about bringing people into the building, and that's why we do graduations, everything else. We have a, you know, 400,000 square foot facility that seats 4,200 people. So we do graduations, concerts. I mean, you know, it's kind of cool. It's the coolest job ever. You know, I get to hang out with Toby Mac and, you know, all these guys come through, and, you know, it's fun because I get to be the hospitality guy. So, and all these beautiful, I mean, it's all these extras that we get out of it, but we're actually serving the community. So there's a lot of people in the community that have never been to a Christian concert, but hey, since it's around, and, you know, we have the 3rd largest venue in the cities, it's really neat that we're able to do these things. When you bring those people in, that's when you display what you do. You know, so when you're going through the comments and it's just plain and it looks blah, if somebody walks in for the first time, it's just plain and blah and it looks like a church. You spruce it up and you make it look like the Starbucks down the corner. You make your cafe look that way. You make your, when you actually do your catering, you do it professionally, and you know, you go for the, you build on it as you're going through, and you want to do everything first class. And Alonzo, he left over. He's one of his. That's his little saying over in Midland, Texas, you know, first class, let's do everything first class. And when you get that mentality and you really want to do things that way, that's, people expect no less. You know, and then the pastors, you know, they want to eat on the, you know, like, hey, we could do disposables on this, but let's upgrade it a little bit. Hey, for 50 cents more, I can do the plastic. We don't have to pay for a dishwasher, so don't worry about the labor. But for 50 cents more, I can get you the nice silverware that, you know, looks like silverware, the plastic, you know, silverware, and, you know, I can get you a nice plate. We can get better napkins, or you know, and then you show them that. You know, you have those displays, you show them the difference, and people start, they'll get that mentality of, hey, let's do this better for our volunteers. And then the volunteers, in turn, they feel special. It's just, it's amazing. So now you've given them a discount. You're trying to make things get better. You're trying to, and it's not a burden on your ministry. It is a ministry, and you just gotta keep rolling that way. So, different things. You know, when you're doing setups, this is like the green room for, I think, Girls of Grace or somebody was in there. Free catch up there. But just getting everything ready. I think we did like a little pulled pork burger, you know, kind of thing here. So yeah, it was just burgers and pulled pork and a little sandwiches. So it's kind of things there. Using clear plastic trays, you know, as much floral as you can get. If you can get some floral, make things look nice. You know, set them up. We do a lot of action stations. So inside and outside catering. I just started, and my bosses pick on me, pastor pick it, because I'm kind of like the pastor of door 4, where our ministry is. So everybody that comes in, you know, if it was up to me, I'd have a stand-up desk, and I would just work right there instead of going. My desk is like kryptonite is to Superman. I hate answering emails. I'm surprised you didn't.
Yeah,
somebody,
620.
Yeah, somebody. I figured somebody would see how many emails. I get at least 150 emails a day, and we're closed. You know, that's the sad part. You know, people, you know, there's no couth these days when it comes to doing those things. But when you do that, you want to do everything in excellence. But we just started. I had some friends over at Morgan Stanley. We've got friends, you know, different places, drug reps, everything else. You get to know these people, and you just ask them. You know, when these people, hey, what do you do? You know, well, you know, I'm in sales. I do this. Oh, do you ever entertain any clients? Oh yeah, all the time. Ask them. Yeah, you know all the people, and you know who are the doctors and the nurses and all these other things in your church. Start talking to them. Just like, you know, we cater, right? Like, you're out of here. You do, and you go to show. Yeah, of course I do. Show them some pictures. Take some pictures of it. So I do omelet bars. I do. I go over. I've got a good relationship with. I hate to say this, but I was a Marble Slab Creamery franchisee, but there's no marble slabs up there anymore, so I use Cold Stone Creamery. But I have a great relationship with them because I let them come to our Family Fun Festival. She does anything that, I mean, she charges me like $25 a pan. I charge like $5 a scoop for ice cream, but I can take that out there only because I used to do it. With those little ideas, but I'll take it out there and sell it. $5 a scoop for, you know, it's awesome. So I can make.
Do you use dry ice to keep it cold?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't need dry ice where I live.
Keep it out on the back porch.
It's not keeping my truck here. I gotta go out to my truck and reload here. So most of the times of the year, believe it or not, I don't need dry ice, but yes, dry ice. I mean, those kind of things, and that's where it gets a little more, I mean, technical, and there's gonna be some technical aspects of it. You can't just go back and just start something. You have to research it and figure out how to work everything. But it took me years to figure out how to transport ice cream and keep it scoopable, you know, and keep it the right temperature.
Yeah, what temperature is that about? 15?
0 to 5 is where you want to scoop.
Okay.
So usually you blast at about -20, and then you bring the temperature up. Ice is actually at 32, so when you put an ice around it, it actually brings the temperature up, so it makes it soupy. So you gotta work the dry ice and put cardboard over it and move it around. So it's a science. I'd like to think that I'm smart and that it was a science, but the omelet bars, I do. I went to Sam's Club, and this is the easiest thing to do. And this is what I was going to share with you guys. We do a bagel, not bagel, but Belgian waffles on Sundays. So we have numerous. We were using this company that actually sold us the waffle, dough, and they give you the machines and everything else, gold medal. And we're like, man, it was expensive. It was like $150 a case, and everything else. So we decided Cisco has a mix, US Foods has a waffle mix, Belgian waffle mix, everything else. And went to Sam's Club. They have the double Cuisinarts. They're doubles. We use them every Sunday nonstop for 5 hours. The things that work, we were like, it's cheaper. If one breaks, we'll go buy another one. The same ones have been working for almost 2 years now, so we still haven't, they stay clean, everything else. I'll bring the waffle maker with me, the waffle batter. So this is on a catering, okay? So I'll go to these offices, I'll do this. I don't go anywhere for less than $300. Depends on your market where you can do that. My time is valuable, so if I'm going, I'm gonna charge more. But the one thing that I've sold on my clients is that, first off, all my repeat clients, I know all their names. I mean, it's funny because they laughed. They were like, you know more people here than I do. And I work to get involved with their client, make the client feel special. So if they're selling, if they're in there selling, this, CD or whatever it is, if they're doing bonds or something like that, maybe you want to, whatever the name of the rep is, the Steve Jarvie, omelet or, waffle, this is our host, you wait for your host, you just entertain and you stay in that. But all you have to do is bring some strawberries, some blueberries, some whipped cream, and, the waffle mix. I charge $300, and of course you bring, plates and knives and forks and everything else in there. But it's just those little starts that you can do. You're doing something unique. I also do smoothie bars. I'll grab my, my blender from the coffee shop. I'll get my smoothie purees. I get my, whipped cream, everything else. Guess how much I charge? I go out there. Doesn't matter, yeah. And I'll serve it, I'll give them a certain amount of time. And, I usually try to stay around $10 a person, for something like that. It's convenience, no one's gonna balk at what you charge if you're doing it professionally and you're doing it nice. So wear a chef coat, or I usually dress up nice like this, and then, wear an apron, and, I would keep it neutral. And then if people want to ask, so where are you from? Oh, we actually, Grace Church, we do catering. Well, church, So, so it's kind of one of those things.
Preconceived ideas, what I mean?
There you go. I'm doing this to try to support my ministry, and I'm trying to support my staff. I'm trying to support, what I'm doing here. But it's amazing how many conversations you can get. Oh, that's where I go to church. I see people that that I work with, people at other churches. It opens up, and then those people will come back to you. Yeah, it's pretty tough around here. Yeah, it's a little dark. Some of these people and everything else. But then also when they hear that, where this guy works, the people change. The next time you see them, they watch. They're like, oh yeah, we love the waffles. So start cooking those things, sprinkle a little cinnamon in there, and the whole office smells like. And they're all like, oh, what's this? Just those little things that you can do. So the outside catering, that's where it's really, and I can put something on the website. I'll put something together for Janae, kind of like my checklist and, what everything. But my chef does everything for me. I do a BEO, tell her where I'm going to be, what time, and she'll pack everything up for me. During the wintertime, I'll just park my car in the driveway, and I don't even have to. Seriously, I'm like, I hope it doesn't freeze. Hope the batter doesn't freeze. But I'm just joking. I leave everything in the kitchen because that would be illegal. And one of those. And also, you want to check all those things because in our state, in our county, we are allowed to. I have a license on my vehicle. I can't keep chemicals, or can't keep my Armor All or anything like that in the back of my car. I got to keep my front clean. They can inspect it at any time. If I'm on a catering or something like that, they saw me packing it up. Hey, do you have a license to for delivery vehicle? And yep, it'll show my car on my license, everything else. So whoever's car you're using. So always check those things. Those are things you want to check before you actually start doing it. Some people, church will usually forgive you a little more than other people will. So you always want to check those things. So just those little checklists. And basically this class was just to kind of, if you guys are interested in it, any way that the GACHP or myself, any way that we can help you, kind of grow into that or answer questions for you and, get you the information that you need to get, in order to, kind of start doing that. So, yes, sir.
What does your brunch consist of on Sunday? Is it by reservation or?
No, we do it. We just always just kind of it's whoever wants to show up kind of brunch. But we do we have a 16 station omelet bar. So we use butane, and we get the little omelet pans from Sam's Club. We get a little 9-inch, and or they 8-inch.
They're eight.
Eight, you know, non-skid eights, and, we do that, then we have our Belgian waffles, so then we do so we have the Belgian waffles, so I usually have 3 machines going, so that's, on each side, so I duplicate everything, so this is our Grand Commons. So on the weekends, this was our Veterans Day meal, I was gonna show you guys kinda how we set up. Just real simple, these are all the melamine, and these are all the plastic. Talk about throw some seniors off. They're like,
Yeah, that's
they didn't want to throw them away.
I have my seniors group every month and we use the reflections and they wanna come into the kitchen and wash it.
Oh, yeah, they're just kinda like, no, and then we go back for our nice silverware, like in all our, cause we keep everything in containers. Still fine whenever once in a while. It gets through.
How many you serve, excuse me,
On Sunday, we'll do about anywhere from 300 to 400 covered. I mean, it's just, it depends. It depends on the day. It depends on what we serve for lunch. So we start off at 8 a.m. Our first service is at 9. We open at 8. I open the cafe at 8 also. So we're in 2 separate areas. We used to have our food service areas in one whole area. We had the cafe, a 300-seat dining room, and our kitchen, and they did it in the hall there. And our past, we all met, and we were just like, let's start fellowshipping. Let's get out of this little hall on that side of the church. Let's go out where these 30. We got a $7 million view here. That's how much the property costs. So let's use it.
So of that 300 to 400, what percentage does that come of the total Sunday attendance?
It's not even close. People, we have 5,000 people.
Okay, that's where we're at.
So it's really, I mean, you can never tell. I mean, sometimes we'll do more, sometimes we'll do less. It's pretty consistent. People are upper middle, affluent. A lot of people are just in a hurry. In Minnesota, I mean, especially this time of year when when it gets nice. We gotta go. We got basketball. Everybody's kids in a sport. I don't know if it's like that everywhere else these days, but I mean, it's just like, hey, let's get in, let's get out. We're changing the culture. We're changing it. There used to be at noon, church second service. It used to be at like 11, so people would get out around 12:30. The church would be empty at 12:45. I mean, there wasn't a soul in there except for the kitchen staff cleaning up. Now, I mean, we'll have people out sitting in those chairs. We'll have people out there 1:30, 2 o'clock, and we're just kind of like, by our senior pastor or our executive pastor will look at each other. Because people are fellowship. They're with their family. They're actually talking. The new families that are coming through, they actually get to meet somebody from our church instead of everybody like. And now people, and they're gravitating to that. So.
How late do you guys actually serve on Sundays for brunch?
We slow down. I'll serve until about. I have my time at 1 o'clock, but at 12:45, if I have 2 separate lines, so I'll break down. I'll just say, let's shut down this line. So we're able to work that. So it's not hurting anything to stay open on this side because they're busy cleaning up everything from that side. So it kind of works out really well. So
What do you charge?
We charge $6. So, and that's a made-to-order omelet, which comes with potatoes. So we do fried potato wedges, and then well, not wedges, but cubes. And then we do they get a drink. So I changed it up. It used to be they get a choice of 2 drinks. So now we do little squats. So we.
That's where Michael got that idea, right?
It's about, but we have it free, instead of her making them and everything else. So we give, it used to be 2, but they're about 37 cents a squat. So we changed that up. So now we let them have a choice of a juice. You get 1 juice and a coffee or water. So they can pick that. So they can take the juice, they can take the water, they can take the coffee. So they get a choice of 2 drinks, and it works out really well. And I could raise the prices.
Is it omelet or the waffle?
It's omelet or, correct. So we let people know that. No, the omelet takes the whole thing, and the waffle we serve with 2 strips of bacon and a piece of sausage. So they get all that, and then we have the topping bars. So we have strawberries, blueberries, whipped cream, butter, syrup, and so they all like it. So most of the kids, we don't do it kids, and this is the beauty of it, and I think that's what helps us out is because there's so many kids. It's $6 across the board. So if they want to, don't want the kid to eat, they'll split it, take it home, or they get, kids, you know, they'll just buy one, split it, whatever, but it works out really well, so that way you're not having to, you know, go back and forth. If they want extra juices or anything like that, or an extra bottle of water, they just charge it, they just put it a la carte there. We have a micro system, so we just do everything that, you know, right there, so I have everything wireless, I can move my cash registers anywhere in the church.
Through micros, you got wireless?
Yeah, so it really helps out a lot, because you can use it for anything. I can take my cash registers out to when I do my family fun festival where there's 4,000 people and we're selling tickets, I can bring my cash registers out in the parking lot, swipe credit cards, I can do anything. We have handhelds and that, and we have a ticket booth, so we could sell stuff all over, we could use everything.
So do you have a register at each station?
Yes, ma'am. So I split them up.
That's what I was fixing to say.
We were, well, and unfortunately the way that everything's set up in there, and it's kind of, we were talking about, like, you know, putting the food in the middle, and then, but our worship center, the doors, I don't know who designed it, but, well, I do know who designed it. Anyway, so the doors point out like this. So it's just natural that everybody just flows back to the parking lot, and it's not a natural flow into the fellowship hall. So, you know, and this was never known, it was called a Grand Commons, it was never meant for a fellowship. So a lot of people are like, oh, you know, because they want to leave that open. But we're about to blow this out, and I have a bookstore that's on this side, and it's probably from here to that wall deep, and we're gonna open all that up, and that's gonna be what my new cafe is gonna be. So we're gonna do the cafe in there, and we're gonna make this more inviting, and this is gonna be more of a, and we're talking about building a deck back here where moms and, you know, because the Eden Prairie Mall that's right down the street, moms just hang out there and let the kids play and all this play equipment and everything else, and we're like, why don't we open our church up, and why don't we have the moms come and hang out here instead of hanging out at the mall? So, you know, that's kind of our idea, to try to get into the community.
On your Sunday mornings, you have the 2 stations. Is it paid staff or is it volunteers?
You know, I do a little bit of both.
Do
so,
you? Okay.
My philosophy behind that, if I want it done, there's certain things that can't, in order to support my chef, there's certain areas where I have to support her with a paid, you know, with paid staff. The areas that are kind of, you know, picking up trays, greeting people, that's kind of more my volunteer side of it. I try to do more volunteer, and that's all I do on Sundays. I don't touch any food. I don't deal with anything. I fix the computer and greet customers. That's what I do in the hospitality. I make sure that people connect, and that everyone that comes, we have a breakfast club, so we give a first-time guests after they go through, they come in, and then they go see our, you know, pastor, the sermon, and then they come out, and then we, you know, take them to the breakfast club. So, you know, people walk in and are like, oh yeah, I'm here for my free breakfast. I was like, have you been through the timeshare presentation yet? What do you mean? It's like, well, so yeah, did you see Pastor Troy yet? No. Oh, you haven't met all the requirements, because we want you to meet our pastor first. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. But we spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time because the number one thing, this food, everything else is secondary to me. You know, I want to introduce people to Christ, and I want people to feel that this is their new home. And my boss, his boss, and you know, our big boss. He wants me to focus on people and not projects, and you know, you get tied up in that sometimes. But I have a wonderful staff, and that's the only reason I'm able to do that is because my staff supports. They know what needs to be done. They're very diligent, and I don't micromanage them. I'm just like, you know, you're big, you're an adult. You know what to do. Get it done, and then you know, and then sometimes they're like, well, you don't lead us enough, and I'm like. Be careful what you say. Because I can micromanage. Trust me. I was in the ice cream business with 16, 17-year-olds. Trust me, I had to micromanage. You know, because I'm good at it. So, but yes, ma'am.
Does your cafe compete with that? Is it open at the same
No,
time?
ma'am. We just do on the cafe on Sundays. All I sell is pastries. So we go through about I order about 25 to 30 dozen donuts. I've got a local baker that makes all the donuts, so we'll sell donuts, muffins, cinnamon rolls. I've got Gatorades, Monsters, you know, all kinds of, you know, cold drinks, fountain sodas, lattes, you know, the full smoothies, everything else that we sell down there. But we'll just, you know, just in those sales alone over there, I'll do $700 to $1,000 a morning just in coffee sales. I mean, that's just over there. So, and then we do all of our regular coffee for all of our small groups, everything else. You know, they'll do the normal, you know, send all the coffee to everybody that tithes in the church. And you can't take away free coffee from the Baptists.
Get it.
And even when we went from
We
Baptist
tried,
to
we
non,
tried.
yeah,
Get
even
it.
when we went to,
They wanna know who made that call.
they're like,
Does it?
we're gonna talk about your Troy.
Yes, yes.
You go ahead, and when people threaten me with the Pastor Troy thing, because he's hilarious, because like, I was like, you should do that. You should send him a country western CD too while you're at it. He's like, if somebody sends me another country western CD, I'll throw those away. He tells us, but everybody keeps sending him stuff, but it's just fun.
It's kind of funny, we have a cafe too, it's a beautiful place, so on one end, all the young guys are like, this is like free trade coffee, and so we went to this organic, locally grown, roasted Guatemalan coffee, and then, you know, the free coffee is all the older guys sitting around with the 8-ounce styrofoam cup, you know, and they're like, this coffee's bitter, you know, and we're not really Starbucksy, but it's amazing how they like, you know, you can't please them, so we're thinking about going with Folgers Crystals up there with the free coffee, and keeping the organic down in the.
You know what, and you probably could, and man, because they're gonna charge you, I don't know about you guys, but I pay about $9 a pound for premium coffee. And there's some that'll charge more, some are a little bit less. You probably, right now, I think premium's around $9 a pound, and then it's you know, your Folgers levels right from $5.99 to $6 a pound. And you can do that. It's great, you know, but we have a special blend that we use. We changed our banquet blend about 3 years ago, and I went to a place called City Kid Java, and it's a local mission. I mean, it's a mission base in downtown Minneapolis, and they sell at Target and retail division and everything else. I mean, they won like 6 out of 8 blind taste tests over Caribou, Starbucks, all of them. It's not bitter. The people like it. You know, I did a taste test before I brought it in, and you know, so I don't get any complaints. And the seniors love it.
Is it less than $9?
No, it's not.
It's a $9. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I pay it, but it's worth it because nobody complains about it.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
People keep buying. We love your coffee. You know,
Yeah.
they'll come in and say, you guys have the best lattes. I bought, what I paid for a latte machine, I could have bought a small car. But the consistency there, doing versus free pour and everything else. So you got to take all those things into consideration when you're catering. You know, coffee cart, you know, like outside coffee. I've looked at, you know, coffee and church I mean, who knows church, you know, coffee better than churches? So consider coffee carts. They're on sale every once in a while. You know, hot dog carts. All these things that we can do to go outside of the church to get involved in the community. There's all kinds of things that we can do as food service directors to really make a point, you know, without having you don't have to. We came up with a little thing the other day, just because we write this on the outside of our building. You can have grace written all over the building on the outside, but it really matters the grace that's on the inside. So we have to really watch out for that. Yes, ma'am.
Do you charge $6 for the omelet station or the waffles?
Correct.
Or they don't get all of it, they just
get
get
one or the other.
thing?
Yep. And then we also have, starting at 10:45, I do an entree. So typically, my seniors love the entree, so, you know, and they
On
start.
Sunday as well?
Oh yeah, every Sunday, so we'll do an entree also, so I'll just do a one-item entree. I used to rotate it. I do a vegetable starch and a protein with a roll and a drink.
For $6 as well.
For $6. And everybody kept complaining, so we'd go from maybe 40 people to, you know, to 150 and everything else, so I couldn't get any consistency. So the pot roast was so popular that I do Sunday pot roast now.
Oh,
every Sunday.
Right. The wall for that.
Sunday pot roast. And a few people are like, I gotta eat the same thing every Sunday. Well, then go get an omelet.
Right.
Go get a waffle.
Switch around. Yeah, change it up.
But the complaint was, when I bring my friends over here, we don't know if you're going to have this or whatever it is.
Right.
Now you know. And it's easy for my chef.
And it's $6.
My chef was like,
yeah.
What's that?
And it's $6. You want to say, well, go to McDonald's and get some nuggets and a drink. You know,
but we want to pork or beef. And I could beef, and I could raise my prices. I mean, and I could get away with it. But it's not, you know, I've talked to my boss and everything else. I mean, you know, we are so blessed with all the outside. My outside events and the graduations, everything that my church and my pastors have to put up with everything that I do and our facilities guys, enable me to offer that 50% discount. So that's what I'm working towards, and that's why I want to continue to do that, because it benefits our pastors in our church inside, because I don't have to raise the prices, because I don't need to.
So what you do is you charge, and then you give them 50% of your profits? Is that what you do?
They get, their discount is my profit. So I put the discount level, everything that goes in there. So whatever I sell in ministry food, I have a line item for ministry discount. So it matches it. It's even all the way across the board. So if I have $40,000 worth of ministry food, I'm gonna have $40,000 worth of ministry discount all the way across the board. So I put that in my budget. So that $40,000 is coming from my bottom line. So that just it takes it out of there. So instead of them waiting for the end of the year, where all this money just sits in the bank and then it's dispersed throughout the church, they get that discount today. So for coming back, so for coming into me and using my services today, if they buy a $10 meal, I charge them $5. They get blessed right now in their ministry. They get that 50% discount. So that's their blessing. So
I think it's so important.
That's the profit sharing.
See that value, because I got people like, can you not do it for $8.99? I'm like, everywhere else that's $15, $18.
Yeah. Well, that's what's great though. Is you go back to that, they were like, hey, we only have $8. We only have $8 to spend on this meal, and now they have that mentality. They look on here like, man,
that's realistic.
That's a $17. That's a $17 check. It comes with a salad. They get they get a salad, a drink, they get dessert. Everything's included.
Right.
They go on the outside for that. You can't do.
No.
Kevin.
Sir.
I know we got some medium size, smaller, like myself, sort of both churches here, and we have job descriptions. I'm sure every one of us has a job description within the church and how we are supposed to handle your affairs. I got a unique situation in my church where if I do inside or outside catering, my job description calls for me to be there at a certain time on certain jobs. I mean, that's my job description, and the church honors that 100%. I honor it 100%. But we have a unique situation to where I can cater within the church. Let's take within the church first for the smaller groups. Inside the church, if it's a ministry, they have a budget. Okay, and that budget that allows them, if they want a meal from the kitchen, then they can they tell me what they want, and we go over the menu just like you do with your chef, and we do all that. Well, I charge that ministry back for it, but my employees are set up on two different scales. They're set up on the regular schedule, and we also have a catering card. So they get to clock in on a catering card, and all of that labor and all that is charged back to that department. So I do enter paper work back to that department. But I get paid by the hour on those jobs, not by my salary. So
just salary.
So what I did is made this contract with my boss before that hand, or my administrator. Okay, then on outside jobs, I also made a deal where I can cater anything I want outside. Okay? I use all my staff and myself, and I pay all the labor. It does not have anything to do with the church. But here's what I do for the church. Our deal is I pay the church 10% all that gross sales over for the use of the kitchen. Any profits that I make on that job, I give that church back my 10% tithe. But I'm not a member of my church. That's where I've got work. So that I don't give that 10% to my other church. So that was our deal. So it works beautifully. So if your administrator, well, wait a minute. If you don't have a job description and you want to do outside catering, try to negotiate with them to use your kitchen, your facility, but give them back deserving.
And that's definitely that's the one thing you always want to look back, and it goes back to this. So if any of you guys have the dream of doing catering out of your facility, everything else, it goes back to the basics. First off, talk to your boss. Talk to your boss about it. Just be totally honest about it. If it's a money issue and you're trying to make extra money, don't let it impede with what you're doing now, because it'll get nasty really quick. If your boss, if you're barely doing what you do now, or can barely handle what you're doing now, they're not gonna be like, oh yeah, go out and do some catering. They're gonna want you to, they're gonna wanna watch that. If you have that ministry mind and you're trying to do that, and you're trying to help your employees and your volunteers to help them get more for their family, that's the beauty, and that's what's great about my catering, because I can go out and do that. It's really nice. But just making sure that you do that. Those little breakfasts that we did, just doing different things, through these caterings, everything else that when you go through, think of new ideas. I mean, it's amazing what a piece of ribbon, and this is back to the rip off and duplicate kind of thing. Jersey Mike's, they have fancy boxes, they throw fancy water in there. When you're catering, when somebody's paying 10, 12, 20 bucks a box, don't throw Sam's Club Great Value water in it. Don't throw a generic candy bar. If you're charging what needs to be charged, then you go top notch. You put a Reese's peanut butter cup, not Sam's artificial, chocolate flavored peanut butter bar or whatever. And I don't mean to beat up Walmart, but it's just some of those people. You can save 5 cents. If you get this other one, it's not worth it when you're charging.
If you were buying that, what would you want? That's how I look at it. If I was paying for that meal, what would I expect?
But this is what you do. You base everything on economics, and do the economical factoring. Take pictures of it. It's just like what Marcus does here. If you want the cheapest meal, then let's use styrofoam, the cheapest plastic, the cheapest napkins, everything else.
On the quality of
I can give you this price with this. Same with the quality of the food.
Right.
This is what you're going to get for this. But if you want,
an option.
yeah, that's right. But if you're doing first class and you're going to pay $20 a box, I'm going to see some meat in there.
Exactly.
I'm going to have a gray poupon, and but it's all about that. You get those packets, and you just make sure that you make it nice.
May I ask one more question?
And this is the Hyatt. I work with the my Einstein brothers. I mean, they're just good looking. They're good looking boxes. This is something that's very easy. This is very similar to what we do. We don't do the box. We do the clear plastic. But an apple, a cookie, bag of chips, and a sandwich. Sometimes you can put the condiments in the box. Sometimes you can just bring them on the side. Whatever you want to do makes it easier. It helps out a little bit. But what if you open that up? I mean, it's like, what would people pay for that? And you just be like,
how do you eat something like that?
So you look at this, Which? Anybody have Which in their area? They're pretty big right now, but they're doing really well with their sandwiches. But just all those little boxes of ideas of what you can do. A lot of places, even that, just getting a little pasta salads, adding that to that instead of a bag of chips or instead of something else. It's just unique. I mean, you could try all these different things to make things unique.
And it's 4 ounces, probably about the max, right?
Yeah.
It's about as much as.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, 4
ounces,
yes.
like 3 to 4.
Roly-poly, try different wraps. Go online, find other people's recipes, and try them out yourself, and see how they do. Roly-poly, we were really popular with the sandwich trays like this. We did a ton of these things. I mean, one of my stores, I wouldn't have made it without catering. But that was back when the drug reps were able to spend money and made a ton of money.
Y'all put sauce on those. Those are a little harder to put.
We usually use like a cream cheeses with flavors and stuff in it, rub that on and then roll.
And that's what you do.
I call them high rollers. I used to cut them about that big, make them thicker.
Yeah. You figure out that you try to solve that problem. Depending on what you serve, that's the biggest thing. Don't just make stuff just because of whatever. Try yourself. Try yourself. When you bite into the sandwich, if all the avocado and stuff like slides out, guess what's going to happen when the client eats the sandwich? The avocado's going to slide out. If you serve a hot sandwich that has juicy, medium cooked steak on it, and it starts bleeding into the bread, well, an hour later after you deliver that product, what's going to happen? It's going to be mush, and this product's great. If you walk into the store, Roly-Poly was a prime example of that, because they have hot sandwiches. But if you serve everybody, we love your hot sandwiches. Will you deliver them? No, I won't. I mean, I will. I'll deliver them, but I'm not going to cater a big tray of them because they're going to be horrible, and then no one will ever eat it here again. So you got to take that into consideration.
The clear boxes, where do you get those from?
Clear boxes are in. Do you have a distributor? Or, okay, so you don't have anyone. where are you at?
I'm here locally at
In Orlando?
Sam's and.
Oh, okay. You can find, Sam's doesn't really have, I've never seen clear at Sam or
Sam's
Costco.
offers a lot of stuff online
Yeah,
that
they
they
might
don't
have some
offer
online.
in the store, so
I would
go to
contact
Sam's and
Marcus.
Google and look at
Like
it.
Marcus
The
here, but
Wilton's
White and
store.
Hodges,
Yeah.
you know, White and Hodges, the Steve that was here, he has, I mean, everything, I mean,
Where
all
are
those.
you
And they
located
should
at?
have a local.
B&S paper out of Holly Hill carries them, cause I've purchased them
Yeah,
from.
there should be a smaller
Yeah,
company.
and
like
they're
we
very
have
small,
at
independent, and not
Avante's,
well
we got in
expensive.
Naples, they have everything that mine, Cisco or one of those guys have.
And,
You walk
and
right
take
up
that
to
in
it.
consideration, when you're dreaming up these ideas, you know, packaging is so important, so is utensils and everything. So, when you're doing this, you can go from this, you know, this is what I would serve to so-and-so. Local schools, when I had my Subways in Amarillo, we had the school system. So we delivered sandwiches every single day to different schools. I mean, we had, you know, like hundreds of thousands of sandwiches a year just in the school board thing. So there's no reason why. Go around your churches, find the other, you know, smaller, you can find homeschool groups that, you know, like we have 3 homeschool groups that meet in our church that we feed. So we do, you know, buffet lunch, we can do platters for them, we can do everything on there. Find other schools, you can find daycare centers. They don't always want to cook, you know, there's, you know, I mean, everything, there's some people that, you know, that might have 15 to 30 kids somewhere. You know, find those things around your church, let people know that you're doing that, you know, that you can cater these events. People that are going to be in late, you can have a refrigerator, you know, that's only accessible to somebody that caters like in the church. So if you are closed on a Friday and Saturday, you can make those box lunches, have them ready for them, put the name on the refrigerator, they can go in there and open it up. So whatever it is that you can do, by saying yes sometimes, you can get around those things and continue to sell, you know, even when you're not there and make things, especially with sandwiches and, you know, things like that. So it's always good things there. So yes, ma'am.
The children's ministry has taken over our fellowship hall. And every Sunday morning, I would like to do some of the ideas and have for some time. There are 48 children in there. Now, would that be income producing? I mean, what would my argument be to get them out of there and say, you know, they're just being entertained in there.
Yeah.
And you could make some money on Sunday morning, which would benefit other ministries.
Is it big enough room you could use partitions?
No.
Yeah.
They've taken over half my storage closet.
You're blessed to have kids in your church.
Oh, it's all children. It's just all
young
children.
whippersnappers. Yeah.
But it's taken up my space, and I think, okay, well, God, what do you want here? What do I need to fight back or let it happen and go somewhere else?
It's awesome, but the Herman actually set up in his church. They did a special they have a special kids area with their own service area, buffet area that's called the Kids Hunt Cafe. So they actually set that up. So it's all, you know, they have balloons and everything else. So you never know, and that draws the parents over there and everything else. So I mean, there's different things that you can do, and it's hard because we're kids first. I'm losing 3 premium rental rooms that I do for conferences and everything else, so they can make a big jam space for the, you know, we're losing 5th and 6th graders like, you know, like they're dropping like flies right now. So we need to do something to change it. God's telling us we need to reach the kids. You know, at the same time, the amount of money I'm losing for losing 3 classrooms, it's no big deal, but it's still kind of, okay, so I have to reassess and you know, just kind of redevelop. Where else can you go? Can you do something fast?